Should we get into talking about your favorite team?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just say this. I know you're going to want me to talk about Nick Sirianni. I will. I just want to talk about the players on the field first. For a change. I thought the players on the field made some incredible plays. And I also thought the game was called really well. Like, I thought the game was called really well. Like, right down to, that first touchdown where they use motion. They go orbit motion, get the man ID, and they get Saquon on Savage. And he's basically – I think he ran what amounts to red zone corner or whatever it is in Madden. I run it all the time with Saquon. And it worked. And motion was up. They went at Darby a lot. I thought Fred Johnson had a rough day, like coming down to earth a little bit. There are times where like he's getting chip help and he's not on the same page with Chipper.
7 pressures allowed.
7 pressures allowed. Like, this was coming. Josh Hines-Allen is still a blue chip rusher. I don't care what it's been looking like this year for him or for the group, but definitely a good day at the office for the Eagles offense. There were stretches of this game where they ran the ball continually. And I thought that was like great to see. Playmakers made plays. That's what Nick Sirianni said at the podium after the game. And that was the theme of the game to me. Like, obviously, the DeVonta Smith catch, we can start with that one. Best catch of the year or no?
Sick. Yeah, it was sick.
I mean, maybe not the best of the week, but that's the whole
there were some amazing one-handed catches in the NFL last week.
Week 9 had 3 of them.
Garrett Wilson, it was sick, yeah. But that catch was like, dude, there was this angle from the corner of the end zone, and I'm like, God damn, Jalen launched that. Like, I think he overthrew him, and he hauled it in. That was phenomenal.
And he caught the point of the ball.
Bro,
he had to catch, like how some guys will,
Those 2 catches were good, but even though it wasn't like a controversial, like we knew it was a touchdown, the walk-off for the Rams last night was sick.
Oh, that was a great one-hander.
Like, that's
and considering who it was on.
That's what I'm saying. That was sick.
That was on Woolen, I think.
But
so
in the game like that.
Oh, walk-off, one-hander.
What?
But these guys, I mean, like, back in the day, how many dudes caught the ball with one hand? Was it just a thing where guys woke up one day and they were like, I'm going to start catching the ball with one hand? Now I feel like that's a totally plausible way to catch the ball.
Well, they practice in warm-ups. You see the warm-ups every time. They try
it. You would get in trouble for that. I feel like in our days,
but it's part of the game.
Like, why are you trying to catch the ball with 2 hands? And now it's part
of the game.
It is part of the game.
And it should be part of the game because a lot of these guys, that's the only way they can catch some of these balls. And so, I just take my moment to be a fan. Like I said this in the live. I went live last night and talked about this. Like, yes, I like the Eagles more than other teams. I played there. I get the fandom thing, like, which to me makes a lot of sense. It kind of jives with who I am as a guy. I'm pretty miserable. I'm fatalistic. Like, like I'm an Eagles fan. And so I really get it. The Kelly Green's beautiful. I thought that was one of the most beautiful scenes in football. That catch, that one-hander, like the shot of the catch. And on top of it, the guy catching the football is one of my favorite players in the league. Like, and I'm talking about, I've said this a bunch on this show. When my kids ask, like, what about this guy? What about this guy?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to tell them about a guy that they can emulate. And I don't think either of my kids are going to be NFL wide receivers. Okay.
Did you just say your son made a crazy ass?
Probably what your dad said about you, Crow.
He did. He's probably a tight end. My dad told me I should probably work on my guard sets in high school is what he told me. So for all the people that think it was just always smooth sailing, my own dad told me, hey, save those Ivy League letters and work on your guard sets. But no, I watched DeVonta Smith, and I want to tell my kids, I'm like, man, he does everything right. Watch the way he operates. Watch the teammate he is. Watch how hard he plays. Look how tough he is. And so as a fan watching that catch, I was blown away. This is one of my favorite players, man. And Saquon, I've never seen that in my life.
Bruh.
I've never seen it in my life.
How?
Didn't know that was a thing. Didn't know it was a thing.
It's just
I can't think of anything that rivaled that display of athleticism that I've ever seen. I mean, it was unbelievable.
But on top of it, it's like the mental thinking of it all. Like, it's just the spin move and just noticing someone about to come and take a real shot at you.
Right.
And you decide to turn and jump. And then the most impressive thing to me is, even though the 2 guys who kind of helped to get him down, they kind of friendly fired and like smashed into each other.
Yes.
Like they luckily got that.
It's kind of like
tackle.
Lamar when Lamar went to the sideline and hurdled two guys a week or two ago, and they ran into each other, and you're just like, dude, there's some guys on an NFL field that we are all different. Like we are all three of us on this Zoom.
Yes.
As fucking standard big guy as we look.
Totally,
like, we're all freaks.
Yep.
I mean, like we're freaks athletically. Everybody in the NFL is the biggest freak in their high school gym.
Oh, yeah.
In the county.
Yeah.
Maybe in the state.
But he might be one of the biggest freaks in the league.
Bro, the delta between dudes, I mean, I've ran around on the field before up in New York chasing him. There's no angle. Like, I'm watching guys miss him. I felt like I was inside of a Madden commercial. I did. I felt like I was the cameraman in a Madden commercial where he was shaking all my teammates. And all the while, I couldn't figure out what the angle to run after him was. And I was running like with cement boots on. I was 33. But if I was 23, I think I'd be marveling at this guy. And
only person that could stop Saquon
so sick
is himself.
In
the ground.
Fumbling the ball on the ground. Which I didn't like. Listen, we talk about the brand.
That call was ass.
I'm a little bit more demonstrative about not liking that call. And I'm not, this isn't a homer take.
That was ass.
Because that's a slippery slope. You know, if the ground can't cause a fumble, then the ground can't cause a fumble. Don't you know? Like, I understand that the guy clipped his ankle and everything, and maybe you can argue the letter of the law. But to me, you know, it would be better if we just decided, if we watch a play and say, hey, like the guy didn't cause that fumble, the ground did. Maybe we just don't call it. Like that to me was a clear case of, in my opinion, the Eagles should retain possession. But it is what it is, and you end up in a ball game where, hey, they get their 2-point conversion, and you're turning to me on the couch. I mean, like I'm watching the other games because I think I have this game in hand. I have a big-ass teaser with the Bills and the Eagles.
Grabbed me by my chest when you go, look. when they ran that in, and you were like, does that count? And you were like, look. And I looked up, and I was like, oh,
that was in Cruz. Like 2 minutes earlier, you go, watch this, aren't they? Look out, because they scored their first touchdown. And it was one of those things, very Eagles, you know, because I feel like Eagles fans, the thing I just talked about, that like the feeling that it's all going to go wrong.
It happened.
And we ended up in a situation, at the end of the game, where they're driving for the lead. And last year's team, although they won a lot of close games, down the stretch, they lose that game. The first 3 weeks of the season, if that happens, they lose the game. You know what's happened? The defenses come together. And I'm not saying they're world beaters. I still think they could use a pass rusher. I still think like in an ideal world, like they could still use a pass rusher. But Cooper DeJean joining this team healthy at some point early in the season, like in camp, he didn't get all his reps, but like being able to fully onboard, the biggest difference in this team's performance today and the first 3 weeks of the season is this rookie. And, you know, like on the last drive, it's Nakobe Dean who's come on in a big way. Like Nakobe Dean, I'm very happy for as a guy, as a high draft pick who kind of like started slow for a year and a half. I definitely feel for this dude, especially in a city like Philly, where like, hey, I don't know what that's like. St. Louis was a very easy market to play in. Nakobe Dean, there's a lot of expectation. And, you know, for him to come on and make some of the plays he's made this year, I think Vic Fangio has been a good thing for him. And I think he's playing more confident. You don't throw that 50-50 ball to that running back. And so, yeah, like the defense has become a strength of this team. You know, Cooper DeJean on 4th and short, that's his second 4th and short play that he's made in a couple weeks. And these are plays that turn the game. And, you know, Lawrence on the sidelines turned into somebody saying, I thought Parker Washington was going to block. So obviously maybe it was an ME or something like that, or just poor execution on the pick. But either way, DeJean making that play. And then I would shout out Sweaty J, Josh Sweat, attacking the weakness. You know, you lose Cam Robinson, and then they're running games over there. Sweat's kicking that tackle's ass. Zach Bond is truly the underrated signing of the year. You know what I mean? Every year there's one of those. And then, you know, the entire defense just playing better. So I think they're a much more complete team. And then now let's talk about Nick Sirianni. I'm not going to kill the guy, okay? Because I don't want to be the guy in Philly media, because, you know, I get aggregated a lot more in Philly media than I would otherwise. That's like, just negative railing on the coach every week, but he has to be better. I mean, how many times can we say this? I would have took the points to kick to get it to 7.
Does he not like the kicker?
No, Jake Elliott's great. Jake Elliott's great, and he can kick.
He's amazing.
So, but I would have gone up 17 because guess what? Nobody's going to remember that I didn't go for 2. There has to be a little bit of self-preservationist in him, and at least in this way, he truly is trying to do what he thinks is the right thing for the team.
Yeah.
He gets caught up in the emotions. I think he's too emotional. That to me is like the key is like we all have emotions here, and I'm not saying coaches can't have emotions, but I go through emotional swings in a week, in a day, like fuck, dude, I'm moody motherfucker. I get excited about things. I get like Nick Sirianni can't be moody. He can't ride the wave. He can't be the one over there because they line up to say, hey, let's see if we can get them off sides. They don't jump. Then they go to the sideline and they kick the extra point. And you're like, oh, crisis averted. But I saw a little yellow flag, and all of a sudden I'm watching Nick Sirianni's face, and it's like, like I gotta do it. And he's on the headset with somebody. I don't know if it's somebody upstairs talking about analytics or whatever. I understand 85% tush push. But what I don't understand is why take the risk on the other 15% in a situation where you have control of the game? Like I'm all about analytics, but what analytics don't tell you is what's going on in the game. And to me, if you kick that ball and go up 17, if they come back and win, it's not going to be your ass. It's going to be the guys on the field. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden, we're counting points that you leave out there. We're counting points when it's 6-point game and you could kick it to go to 9 and you don't. And on 4th and inches, in my opinion, get the ball in your best player's fucking hands. It's not the quarterback. No offense, it's the running back. And I know they're looking to him in the flat, but also realize that everybody else in the stadium knows that if you drop back to pass, the first read's going to be him. So who's the second read? Mm-hmm. So the execution and quite frankly, the riding of the emotional wave, to me, he's too emotional. And that would be my big – I like the emotion. When they went up early a couple scores and he's running up and down the sidelines, I like that. But it was also like, oh, shit. He's feeling himself. Mm-hmm. And to me, you got to leave that shit at the door. It's not about the theme of your day making decisions. It's about winning the damn game. Like, don't get caught up in the like this would be, what a call if I do this. Fuck that. Kick the extra point. You're kicking these guys' asses. Yeah. Asses.
If I'm a coach, I'm watching this, and maybe later on in the season, you know what I do?
What?
Every time the Eagles on an extra point line up to kick a field goal, just jump off sides and dare them to go for 2.
Because the tush push,
it's not automatic.
No, it's not. Tush push last year compared to this year is like it's like Major League 3 to Major League 4. Mm-hmm. The movies, Back to the Minors. Tush push this year is like Major League Back to the Minors, which many of you have not seen. But as an avid fan of Major Leagues 1 through 3, when I went to the maybe 1998, I went to the fucking theater, and I still want my money back for that movie. It wasn't even my money. It was my parents' money. I want it back. The movie was so bad. And I'm not saying Tush Push now is that bad, but it looks like a lot of effort compared to last year. It does. So we don't need to go off about this thing, but
all I want to say though, Chris, is can you imagine like Sirianni is under fire right now and they've been 4-0 despite some of these decisions. What would it look like? Just imagine, picture a world in which they didn't win some of these close games where points were left on the board.
That's exactly right.
I'm saying. Like winning heals a lot of wounds, but the fact that like this is still such a glaringly obvious issue in wins, it's pretty telling.
I've never seen a team.
It's just frustrating.
I've never seen a team look so good, Bo, where it's like you see all those catches, you see all those big plays, all those defenders stepping up. You kick a team's ass for 50 minutes of the game. Or whatever it is, 45 minutes. And at the end of the game, you're talking about the coach. Like the fan base is calling for the coach's head on the heels of a 4-game win streak on a team.
Part of that is Philly, which we love. But part of it is just it's frustrating. Like, let's stop thinking so hard about all this.
No need to overthink it. Your team's pretty good now. Like you don't need to steal points. You don't need to steal, anything. You can pay for it all. It's fine. Just do it the standard way. And there's going to be times to be aggressive for sure. But, again,
you don't got to force it. Like, you don't if it's there, then take it. Don't force the tush push when it's clearly not working. maybe give the ball to your all-world running back who's backwards hurdling people.
Yeah. Or we can go up, like to Chris's point, you can go up 2 possessions with a field goal, like, and you're already in control of the game. It just makes a lot more sense to go that way.
No question.
Great.
So I'm not going to freak out. The other thing I want to say is about because the main thing is the players are playing well and the calls are good. Like Vic's finding his way.
Yeah.
Like they're more aggressive. Cooper's helped on defense, but it's not it. The pass rush is getting there, which goes hand in hand. And then on top of that, on offense, you're calling a hell of a game. I know it's the Jags, but
Yeah.
Oh,
And you scored in the first quarter. What a fucking treat.
with you.
And the young players.
Who?
The Bengals starting to
The Bengals are starting to stink. You're welcome to get the Bengals and put them over somewhere, but it smells like sashimi in here. The one thing I thought was noteworthy is Christian Kirk was supposedly he was on the blocks, but they were working a deal out to send him to Pittsburgh, and then he got hurt. So just notable for the other team playing in this game is number one, they don't get to cash in on some of that capital. Number two, the Steelers don't get the receiver that they've been desperately after for the better part of the year.
And last point about the Eagles is you talked about the offense, the calls are good, the defense is coming together, and they're young. I mean, you mentioned about Cooper DeJean, but Nakobe Dean's playing well. Isaiah Rodgers had a good game yesterday.
Yeah.
Quinyon Mitchell is looking just
a
about all world,
dog.
right?
For Howie Roseman to find DeJean and Mitchell, every once in a while he'll do this thing where it's he'll fuck some things up, shoot or shoot. But as long as you keep hitting your shots every once in a while, I mean
he hits a lot more than he misses.
He hits a lot more than he misses, and I think this draft is evidence of that with those two guys. I don't care what happens the rest of the draft. I know mid-round picks are valuable, late-round picks are valuable, but if you hit on 2 DBs off the season last year that they had, that's surgical.
Mm-hmm.
So there are already guys that can help. So
he's walking around the facility saying, "I'm surgical with this bitch." Jake.
We did have a guy named Jake that used to work for the Eagles too.
Then
he used to say that, but now he can't anymore.
He used to get wet.
I didn't know you like to get wet.
Wet. PCP, Jake.
That's PCP.
Angel dust. This is galaxy gas.
Nate and I were talking about that movie the other day. We were like, imagine if that was a real thing and you go to work one day and you're like, oh, I can't wait to learn from you. You're amazing.
Yeah.
And then he makes you smoke PCP.
Oh.
And it just reveal on your first day.
Oh. But he also took me to
live,
meet took me to meet Snoop Dogg in a wheelchair.
Right.
What a day. So honestly, it's a give and a take working in LAPD or whatever it was. The last thing I'll say is this, and I know we're talking about Nick Sirianni, as if I were agnostic and I was just an NFL fan, I'd be really entertained by Nick Sirianni. He is an entertaining person.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean this to be but it looks like sometimes when I watch him emote on the sideline and just kind of he looks like they walked into the link in the stands and they were like, you, how many Miller Lights have you had? Delco guy, get down here and coach the team. And he's coaching his heart out. He's trying to do all the right stuff. He's a big emotions guy. We got to get the emotions under control.
He won a sweepstake. He sent in.
Yeah.
He sent in a bunch of.
He sent in a video
cereal box tops.
I don't want.
And got picked.
Yeah.
And he's just killing it, keeping the job.
So I don't want Eagles fans to take this the wrong way because I think the world of you. And I think if I hung out with Nick Sirianni, which I have, he's a fucking cool ass guy. I mean, the players like Nick Sirianni. There's the reason he's an NFL coach. He is perfect for the fan base in a way that he is the most. Pick any other NFL coach who fits the fan base the most, could be one of them more than Nick Sirianni. And I think that creates some tension too. It's I know you, man.
Yeah.
You're like all my boys from high school. You shouldn't be out here coaching this team. I know 5 Nick
all
Sirianni.
the stuff you don't like about yourself.
Yeah. But I like Nick. I hope he can get this shit under control because after a loss, to Bo's point, if they had lost this game, if Nakobe Dean doesn't make that play, we're having a totally different conversation, and maybe we should be having that conversation, but I'm not going to have it unless we have to. I'm just not. I'm not going to be the one to have that conversation on this show. I'm not going to be I'm just not going to be the pitchfork guy. You know, I'm rooting for the team.
We're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, we.